You are watching On Demand. Please do not try to vote or enter any competition or other interactivity in this programme, as it may not count and you may still be charged.
Today on your Loose Women Live, it's Ruth Langsford, Colleen Nolan, Janet Street-Porter and Jane Moore.
Hello, thank you so much. Welcome to your first Loose Women of the Week. You are all very welcome here in the studio and at home. It's lovely to have your company, and we've got lots for you today, including a new survey which has estimated that Brits hold about £1 billion in loyalty card points. So it might be time to start redeeming yours. But where do you stand on loyalty cards? Rewarding or a complete waste of time, do you think? She stole the nation's heart with her charm, honesty and one-liners.
Fling and in and fling.
Nearly 2 years after Barbara Windsor passed away, we're joined by her partner of 27 years, Scott Mitchell, to remember the legendary actress and pay tribute to their love story. Now, it was a wardrobe staple for many a grandma, and after this weekend's weather, you might be trying to get your hands on one. The humble rain bonnet is making an unexpected return. Yes, apparently it's fashionable now. Apparently it is. Would you dare to try the trend? And can we convince Colleen and Janet to give it a go? No. Can we? Go on.
No!
Go on.
No!
Go on. Just for us. I'll get them to do it later. And as always, let us know what you think at home. We love to hear from you. So, politics again. When is it ever not politics? The race for the new Prime Minister continues. Now, last night, former leader Boris Johnson dramatically pulled out of the race, saying it would not be the right thing to do. So Rishi Sunak is currently the favourite to replace Liz Truss and could do so by the end of today. But House of Commons leader Penny Mordaunt is still in the contest. She is racing to try to secure 100 MP backers by the 2 o'clock deadline, so she hasn't got very long. So what do you think? She hasn't got very long, Janet, has she? And actually, they're saying any time during our show, something could change again. We might get a news flash, who knows? But do you think it's Rishi's got it in the bag?
I really do hope he has got it in the bag, because what the country needs now is someone who's calm, collected, consistent and considerate, but most of all, knows what they're doing. We just can't go on like this. When I read Boris Johnson's statement about when he was pulling out, why he was pulling out last night, the word "I" came up more than any other word. So what that tells you is, I mean, you might think I've got a big ego, but compared to Boris, I am a pygmy. I believe I am well placed to desire to deliver a Conservative victory. And he claimed that he's got 100 backers, but mysteriously...
None of them have been named.
No, been named, apart from a couple of dozen.
56, I think. 56 named supporters,
Yeah.
Boris.
Honestly, we joked last week about the lettuce outliving Liz Truss.
Still going, the lettuce, I gather.
Yeah, I went and saw... I've got another 3 lettuces in my patch if anyone wants to place any bets. I went out and talked to them on Saturday in the pouring rain. Yeah, my lettuces are still going strong.
I have to say, Jane, I just get to that stage where I want to say to them, you know, we're not playing. This is not playtime.
No.
You know, it feels now like everyone's like, oh, do you want to be in my gang and thing, and I'll ring him, and that, you know, where the rest of the country are worried about how they're paying their heating bills, how they're going to feed their children this winter.
Yeah.
And it all seems to be this, not a joke exactly, but like a big power game.
A big sort of Westminster bubble nonsense. And I mean, I agree with Janet. I think that's why it does have to be Rishi Sunak. He has got the experience. We need somebody to steady the ship for the next 2 years. They're not going to call a general election because, as everybody says, it'd be like turkeys voting for Christmas. Labour would definitely get in at this particular point. So he's got 2 years to steady the ship, to show everybody that he's serious, that he means business. But it is astonishing, isn't it? There are, what, 66 million people in this country? And actually, probably by this afternoon, we're going to have yet another Prime Minister based on the results of, what, 182 people, MPs, who've decided that he's going to be crowned the next
If it
Prime
goes,
Minister.
isn't the worst scenario, Jane, that Penny Mordaunt does get on the ballot and it goes out to the Tory membership?
can't have another
That
one,
is
can we?
only 172,000 people, so it's a fraction of
But
a
at least
fraction.
that's more than 182, which is where Rishi Sunak is.
It is more, but of the 172,000, I've read in the papers they want to do it online. Well, up to 15% of them haven't got a computer or a mobile phone. So I don't know if jungle drums are going out to Chelmsford and the Cotswolds this afternoon, but if they need to get through to these people who seem to have not arrived in the 21st century, it's all a bit of a worry.
It just
isn't
seemed interminable, the last one, didn't it? It just went on and on for weeks and weeks. And Colin's been very much enjoying all of it, haven't you, darling?
I'm so bored. I'm so bored. Will somebody just run the country?
Anybody.
Please stop messing about. Yeah. Run the country, do your job, and shut up.
Bored. Well, I do think a lot of people are feeling like that. It's just like, who is running the country at the moment? Doesn't appear to be anybody running it, so something
Well,
needs
it's a
to
tough
happen.
job.
It's a very tough job. It's a poison chalice, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't want that job.
Well, at this rate, it could be Kevin the Carrot.
Probably do a better job.
Or the lettuce. I mean, that's still going
Lettuce,
strong.
yeah.
I said, if we hear anything during our show, if anything changes, you know, change seems to be changed by the hour at the moment, we will certainly let you know.
But you can't wait.
Yeah. This is interesting, actually. BBC Breakfast presenter Naga Chetty has said that the harsh treatment she faced when starting out as a print journalist, she says bosses called her useless, even threw her work back at her. And she says, despite being left in floods of tears at the time, she now says that it made her better at her job in the long run because the fear of making a mistake meant that from then on she did her research twice as well and she did everything to the best of her ability. Which is quite interesting when we were all talking about this because we've got slightly different experiences. But I kind of got what she was saying, that, you know, I worked in a newsroom and newsrooms are tough and, you know, I had a tough call out by a boss in front of the whole office, but he had an office with a glass window, so he either used to draw a Venetian blind or not. He'd shut the door, but on this occasion he decided not to draw the Venetian blind, so it was very obvious to everyone in the newsroom what was happening to me, and I was getting a right old telling off. You know, the finger and the shouting.
Look at you there.
I know, so young,
little
yeah.
baby.
And
But you're married now, it's fine.
I just remember thinking...
You're still doing
don't
it.
Cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Whatever you do, don't cry, because it was a very male-dominated environment. But having said that, some of the points he made were very valid, so I did remember them. I'm not sure he went about it in the right way, and shouting didn't always get the best, but... it does make you remember it, doesn't it? You don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, no, I mean, I you know, cut my teeth on Fleet Street, and some of it was primarily run by men in those days, but I only have fond memories of it, and... Where did they dredge that up from? That was on my local newspaper, the Solihull News. But, yeah, I only have fond memories of it, and because it was honest. It was honest. I would rather somebody said to me... But it's all about tone, I think. I think if people are throwing things and dressing you down in front of lots of people, there's a bit of ego and showmanship in that. But I think if you're just quietly... so, for example, my teacher at school, the teacher we were most scared of was called Mr. Gray, and he never raised his voice, and he'd be giving out homework like this, and then he would go... where's Jane Moore? Like that. And I would be like, oh, no, I know what... And there would be some withering remark about the standard of my work or whatever. And I think that's far more powerful than shouting and throwing things and whatever. But I had an editor who was very like that. And every time I would go into his office and say, well, I haven't got this because... And he would go, I don't want problems, bring me the solutions.
Yeah. Well, Janet, you've been a boss.
Yeah, I've been in the early stages of my career. You were either flavour of the month because you'd gone out and got the story they wanted, or you were absolute dirt because you'd messed up, and there was nowhere in between. And I kind of got it. I mean, we were working in Fleet Street. Yeah, that's me.
That's worse than mine.
That's me at LBC on the beginning, the first day of LBC back in 1973. So it was a brutal environment, and you had to toughen up, and it was a very competitive environment. And to get up the ladder, there was no point in going and being sick in the ladies or puking in the
And it was a
litter
brutal
bin.
environment for men and women.
Yeah. Men
We
got
were
the same treatment. It wasn't worse for
complete
women.
parity.
When I became a boss, I've got to be honest, I don't mince my words. I've got a list of what I want done. I want it done my way, not their way. It's not, you know, a collective.
So did
and
you,
I
if
have-
somebody hadn't done the
Yes.
work to your standard, you would tell them with no
Yes,
uncertain terms?
and I would that would be quite acceptable up to a few years ago, where we can't do that anymore.
Well,
But
that's
if we tell people now, your work's not good enough, I'm sorry, I'm just laying it on the line. I'm not dressing it up in a reaching out, touchy-feely, cuddly-wuddly kind of way. I'm just saying
it's rubbish.
That work is rubbish.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they cry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then we get reported.
I mean, a
But I
friend of
suppose you
mine who
didn't-
was senior in papers moved into the charity sector, and she was at a meeting and she just went, oh, who wrote this and whatever, and she just said, no, that's not quite up to standard. Could you just have another go at this bit? Tears. She had to go to HR because she told this
you didn't
person
have
that
this
they weren't very
because
good.
you were in the band, of course, from a young age, so you didn't have this kind of boss-employee relationship getting told off. or did you, with your
but I'm in an
parents, or-
industry where there are people like that who scream and shout and throw things now, but I don't accept it. I don't think anyone has a right to be bad-mannered or be a bully to anybody, so I don't care how high up the ladder you are. You have no right to shout at someone.
Janet's rolling
you
her
have
eyes.
a right. You have a right to tell somebody that they're not doing the job to your standards, but you have no right to scream and shout at anyone. And as soon as anyone does that to me, my ears close up and I'm just like, not listening, go away. Even in a normal argument with anyone, as soon as they raise their voice, I think, unless you're going to talk to me, you know, like an adult, then I'm not listening.
But maybe it has tipped a little bit now into the you can't criticise anybody in the workplace.
It's gone way over.
Being diplomatic, Janet, I'm being diplomatic.
I know. Look, I go in the garden, I shout at my lettuces, they perk up and they've done better than this crap.
You shout at your lettuces.
Oh, shout at her lettuces.
I shout at my lettuces. Pull yourself together.
On
OK,
that
there are
note-
slugs. Get on with it. Deal with
What,
it.
you said something else, Janet.
On that note, I think we'll take a break, shall we? And still to come on Loose Women, we're going to be talking about sentimental family items, and you won't believe what Janet says. Also, we'll be joined by Dame Barbara Windsor's husband, Scott Mitchell, to look back on their 27-year romance as he details how he's coping with grief 2 years after her passing. And after a technical TV mishap over the weekend saw an entire film broadcast without any dialogue, just the sound effects, we're going to be revealing our favourite soothing sounds. We'll be back after this. Thank you very much. Hello, welcome back to Loose Women. Now, we are talking about sentimental items left to us by loved ones in just a moment. Also, nearly 2 years after losing Dame Barbara Windsor, we'll be joined by Scott Mitchell as he reflects on their loving relationship, as well as revealing some of his all-time favourite memories of his late wife. And we may have the perfect solution for this miserable weather, which could see you ditching your umbrella for good. The rain hood is back, ladies. Yeah? Yeah, you're laughing now. You'll all be wearing one soon. Honestly. But are Janet and Colleen up for trying out this retro rainwear revival?
No.
You keep saying no, but you know I'll persuade you in the end. You know I will.
To my guns, no.
They will. OK, before any of that, though, competition time for you. You won't want to miss out on this one. £75,000 up for grabs. Great wooing, thank you very much. Here's Kate Lawler with all the details for you.
Hello from Tully's Farm in West Sussex, and you have another chance to get your hands on £75,000 in gloriously tax-free cash. Don't believe me? Well, here's what a few of our past winners had to say when they won with ITV.
It was amazing getting the phone call to say that I was an ITV winner. Absolutely, I couldn't believe it. It's an absolute dream come true.
I won £60,000 in cash, 2 cars and a gift and gadget package.
After a phone call, I was jumping up and down with joy.
I tell you what we love more than pumpkins, making winners, and you could be our next big winner. All it takes is just one entry to bag £75,000. But you got to hurry because lines close this Friday. Here are all of the details. Get your pumpkins! For another chance to win £75,000, text CASH to 86060. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY40 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 28th of October at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Remember, lines close this Friday, so what are you waiting for? Get those entries in. When do they close again?
Thank you very much, Kate. Good luck with that. Now, he's been showing off his skills on the dance floor over the weekend, and actor Will Mellor has revealed that he wears his late father's ring for every one of his performances on Strictly. Sadly, his dad, Bill, died 2 years ago, just weeks after he was diagnosed with cancer. So the items we treasure from loved ones, you know, they can be particularly special. I think a lot of people, particularly with jewellery, Colleen, are you sentimental in that way? Have you got anything, pieces of jewellery from loved ones that...
No, the things that are sentimental for me, obviously, I've got pictures, loads of pictures with me and Bernie, so that's sentiment. I've pictures with my mum and dad, but the sentiment for me is in my heart. I don't need something to remind me of her. And also, if I had a piece of my mum, my dad, my sister, you know, if I had any of their jewellery, the trauma for me would be if I lost it. If I lost it, it'd be like losing them all over again. So I'm a bit, I don't want that. And I've also, you know, I've experienced people who fall out massively, like families that are split because they've argued over who's going to keep that piece of jewellery or who's going to keep that painting, and then they end up never speaking again, or they just can't let things go. And I think that can be more damaging, because by letting something go doesn't mean that you've forgotten that person. Yeah. That person will always be there. You know, Bernie will always be in my heart and always in my thoughts. I don't need to look at something to be reminded of that. And I don't like sometimes the damage that can do within families, especially, like, you know, I've got a massive family. But it's happened to a friend of mine, you know, who lost her mum a few years ago, and she can't let even any single thing in that house be moved, touched. It's still there.
Like a shrine,
and she's
almost, yeah.
Yeah, and she's frantic about it. Like, if she goes round and a cup's missing, she goes insane, you know, and I'm like, you have to let that go. Your mum's always with you. She's not in things. She's just with you.
Well, my mother is represented by something I took from her house when she died, and was previously in my Welsh granny's house, and it's a china cat with toothache. It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. What do you mean, I mean...
Have you got that displayed? Janet, will you leave that to me? I'd love that.
Yes, I'll happily pass it on to Colleen, because I have got 4 wedding rings, 3 engagement rings.
And a partridge in the
Exactly, I have got a pear tree. But things that I treasure, I have got my dad's cardigan, and if I'm feeling a bit miserable, I wear that.
Do you? Oh,
yeah.
that's nice.
It's nice.
It's funny, though, James, there are certain things within your families that you sometimes sit in the house and go, oh,
Please
God,
That's coming my way.
That might be coming my way. And you know that you'll never get rid of it. You might not display it. You know, there's certain things that my mum had from her mum that are just in the loft.
Yeah.
That you just go, I can't get rid of it because it is sentimental, but you just think, please don't give that to me. Oh,
I'm
she
not
has.
particularly sentimental like that either, to be honest. I mean, a very, very good friend of mine, when she was dying, she knew she was dying. And it sounds really bizarre, but one of the most magical times I ever spent with her, she asked me to write her will and also the plan for her funeral and everything. She chose everything, the music, the guests, whatever, who was readings. And we sat down and did her will. And she just said, so she had this very close-knit group of girlfriends, and she said, I want them all to come round and they can just choose something. And she sort of lay there and she said, oh, you know, so-and-so used to come in and always said pointed out this vase in the hallway. I want her to have that vase. I chose a picture. And that's all you need, really, isn't it? It's just one thing, and it's given with meaning, and it has value in its meaning rather than in how much it's worth. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true what Colin said. It's very sad, isn't it, when people do fall out over things like that. So let us know what you think about that. Have you got treasured items that you would never part with, or do not that sentimental, because we love to hear from you. Also today, a new survey has estimated that we hold about £1 billion in loyalty card points. So that's about £19 for every adult. So every one of you in here might be worth £19 in loyalty points. Do you check them? Do you check your loyalty? Hands up if you check your loyalty cards for points. Oh, a few. A few, not many. I don't do that. Only 1 in 5 of us, apparently, check our loyalty points weekly, and 1 in 10 have never checked how much their points are worth. I just wait for those little vouchers to come through. I love a loyalty card. When we talked about this, Jane went scuttling off to the dressing room. Look at this. She's like,
loads of them,
loads of money.
Now, this one, I think, is actually a collector's item, my Nectar card. This goes back to the days before electricity.
Yes.
And it still gathers points, but I can't spend them. So but there's something wrong with the card, and they keep saying, you've got to renew your card, all the points are on there. So I think that's probably worth £1 million. I think that's probably worth quite a hefty
And we've
chunk
got
of...
matching Boots loyalty cards,
Which are
which are very, very
They've been
ancient.
so boasting about their Boots
Very
cards.
old. This was the first loyalty
I've
card.
one of them, I just don't know where it is.
Yeah, I love
Ancient.
this one. Get good points on your
Yeah,
Boots
this is
card.
very good.
Oh, my favourite is my Tesco's points card.
Yeah, I've got
because
that.
you can see
Got
that
that,
happening.
Matcha.
Yes.
So as they scan it, money comes off.
Yeah.
Even if it's 50p, I'm
Look,
thrilled.
look at yours.
Look, mine, look.
Yeah,
look,
yours is posh.
You
look.
lot got so many
I've got
cards you can never get
Tesco.
the poker.
I've got a special credit card holder, because I don't use credit cards, I only use debit cards in one thing, and then I've got a special holder for all my loyalty cards. Got Tesco, Marks and Spencer's, Nectar, Co-op.
Talk amongst yourselves. Do you know what?
I love it when you
Yeah,
see
but they
the
are.
money
Some
come.
of them are a bit. It's like loyalty points. You know, you buy 27 coffees, we'll give you half a cup free.
Oh, and then what
What's
about
the
the other
point of
thing?
that?
All these stores say they're saving the environment, blah, 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 and then you get to the checkout, especially I think Sainsbury's is one of the worst offenders. Vouchers are spewing at you, paper coming out. All these vouchers, like, you know, 10p off if you buy 5,000 radishes or something. They're not likely to be buying at the moment.
Our production team, who are all much younger than us, were all laughing at us this morning because they have everything on their phone.
And their
They're
phone.
like, they
What
look
have
just
you
like
got
we're
cards?
dinosaurs.
I
I know,
know.
carrying cards
I think
around.
all of my loyalty cards are older than our entire production team put together.
I know that Tesco's brought out really small ones you could put on a key ring.
Yes, I've got that.
I lost that straight away.
I put it on my key ring.
I've
I've got it all on my phone. See, I'm so much younger than all of you.
I'm gonna have
down
to
with
get
the
mine. I'm
kids.
going to have to get someone to show me how to put them on my phone. Anyway, we've got to take a break now. And then after that, we're going to be joined by Scott Mitchell. We're looking back on his life with his late wife, Dame Barbara Windsor. And after nearly a month's worth of rain fell on the country yesterday, we'll also be talking about why this look is the new height of fashion. There's the four of us. We're all out yesterday afternoon. There we were, out together yesterday afternoon in our rain hoods.
Signing on.
Signing on. We'll see you after the break.
Prepare yourselves for a spine-tingling Loose Women Halloween special. We've solved mysteries, we've embraced our superpowers, find out what tricks and treats we've got in store this year. Also, we'll be joined by a spooky special guest, Keith Lemon. So join us for a happy Halloween Friday from 12:30.
Hello, welcome back to Monday's Loose Women, and joining me, Ruth Langsford, today it is Colleen Nolan, Janet Street Porter and Jane Moore. So if all this wet weather has been getting you down, don't worry, because we have the perfect solution, as modelled by my very glamorous assistant, Jane Moore. Yes, the rain bonnet is back. Would you ditch your umbrella in favour of that throwback look? No? Hilarious laughter from our audience. And also, talking of rain, do you find the sound of rain beating against a window soothing? Do you? Yes. Yeah, a lot of people do. We're going to be talking about the sounds that make us relax. And would you believe that one of us on the panel finds this sound relaxing?
It's an airplane.
Oh, it's an aeroplane. Oh, yes, when you're inside.
Cabin noise.
Cabin
noise. It's quite soothing, actually, isn't it?
Particularly because you're usually going off to some lovely hot destination
Hopefully.
as well.
OK, we'll be talking about soothing sounds a little bit later. Before that, our guest today, we're talking to him in just a moment, and we're talking about this lady. She was a force of nature whose career spanned stage, screen and soaps, most notably for her 20-plus years as Albert Square's resident pub landlady, Peggy Mitchell. And it's been nearly 2 years since Dame Barbara Windsor passed away after her battle with Alzheimer's. And now her partner, Scott, is making sure her legacy lives on by sharing details of their love story in his new book. Now, before we talk to Scott, we couldn't resist looking at some of Dame Barbara's most iconic on-screen moments.
Little me in the King's Arms.
Well, it's the best boozer in town.
Oh, but sir, we were told to bring the minimum of clothing.
10 years it's taken me to get on the show. I'll flaming well kill ya! You cow! Get out of here, everyone!
And Dame Barbara's husband, Scott, joins us now. It's so good to see you. Always lovely to see you. We did warn you that we're going to run that montage. You know, how difficult is it still for you to see that, or do you sometimes find it uplifting now?
Sometimes it's uplifting. Other times I see her and I think, oh, God, she's not coming back. I think it's the same with grief, isn't it, with all of us? You know, that's the first realisation that you have. I'm not going to see them again. I'm not going to have a laugh with them again. I'm not going to get irritable with them again, and vice versa, you know. It's all those things. Some days I'm absolutely fine. I can talk and talk, and then I'll say something, and it's usually a happy memory, and then I go. And then it suddenly hits me. And listen, she was an incredible force of nature, and a very special lady. So it's, you know, why wouldn't I miss her?
Yeah, I mean, she was special to all of us, but we just knew her as Barbara Windsor, the actress, of course, and she was your wife. The book you've written, it's a beautiful book, beautiful picture of Barbara, and a lovely one of the two of you there on the back. By Your Side, My Life Loving Barbara Windsor. And it was a long life of loving Barbara Windsor, like 27 years together.
Yeah, we were married for 20. Against all odds. I mean, let's be honest, on paper, when we first met, everyone laughed and said it wouldn't last. So, you know, we kind of dealt with all that stuff at the beginning.
Was that hard to deal with in the beginning? Because you did get a lot of that in the beginning,
yeah,
obviously, yeah.
Absolutely. No, it was hard. It was hard. I didn't handle it particularly well in the sense that, you know, at the time I used to drink quite heavily and my way of dealing with stuff was to drink and take drugs and numb it all out and think. It was a very difficult thing. We just wanted to be together, but there was this kind of
force almost.
Yeah, this outside force judging us.
Just because of the age gap, do you think?
Mainly because of the age,
26-year
age gap. Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, Barbara and my mum went to dance school together when they were 11. It wasn't a normal thing, but the great thing was we knew that. Barbara and I accepted that, and we didn't kid ourselves about how we were viewed by people.
Also,
do you know what
she
I mean?
was ageless. Whenever you met her, the energy, I mean, the energy she had was such a young energy. And I think the very difficult thing as well is that in the early days, you write about it very well in your book, that it's very difficult being with somebody that famous, because the second you step outside the door, they're everybody else's property, and you're sort of the person standing back in the shadows. But in a way, that has the effect of now that she's gone, there's an element of you feeling like you're back in the shadows again, in a very strange way.
It's a really odd thing about it. I mean, the thing that I always knew and I always accepted was that Barbara was the star. I understood when people came face to face with Barbara suddenly, they'd make a beeline for her.
She's so loved, wasn't she?
Yeah,
by everyone.
and they'd seen her all their lives, and I understood that, and I was always very happy to step back. I was very proud of Barbara.
But don't do down what you have done when you say you used to drink and take drugs and you were, you know, a bit of a mess. How many years have you been clean now?
This January, a day at a time, will be 21 years.
I think that is amazing. I applaud you from the bottom of my heart, because I know how hard that must have been for you, living with Barbara as well, and that huge weight of her fame and the attention on her. But I have to say that when Barbara got sick, every time I ever saw you and Barbara at a party, you'd go, Janet, and Barbara would come over like that, and she'd always come straight up to me, Janet, how have you been? How are you doing? You said to me, she always recognises you.
Yeah, she did. She never forgot you, did she? It's an amazing thing. Listen, she loved being out, she loved people, she loved meeting people. She was just, you know, very much like that. But I always say, people say, well, what were your favourite memories of Barbara? You know, do you have, you know, when you went here or when you went there? And the fact is, no. It's lovely going to all these glitzy parties.
But you had to go home.
It's being at home. They're my favourite memories, is when it was just the two of us, sitting watching TV, laughing, you know, or her picking on me about something.
I wanted to...
sending me into the kitchen.
I wanted to talk to you because in part one we were talking about all the political upheaval at the moment, whatever. But, you know, one of Barbara's, we've got that amazing legacy of work that will be there forever, but one of her legacies is the Barbara Windsor dementia revolution. Now, tell me about... Boris basically, didn't he, promised you some locked-in funds to help fight dementia. What is the situation with that right now?
The situation was this. I'm an ambassador for Alzheimer's Research UK, and I wrote to them because they had this concept at AR UK that the same way we had the COVID task force, we should have one for dementia, because it is such a major problem. There's 1 million people living with it. That affects 1 million families. The personal cost is absolutely awful, and I know, Ruth, that you've spoken about your personal experience of that, let alone the economic cost, which is 25 billion a year. It costs the economy. So, first of all, we went for the doubling of research, which he's committed to. He said for 2024, they will double it to 160 million. He also took on board about this dementia task force and said, I've set aside 95 million. That is basically to speed up trials. So, I mean, even if we start tomorrow, that will take 2 or 3 years before.
But now he's not Prime Minister.
Now,
where have you heard what's happening?
I haven't heard. All I do know is that the Dementia Task Force interviews were cancelled by Liz Truss. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm waiting to see. I just hope that... It seems obvious who the Prime Minister is going to be now, but I just hope that dementia and the health service are one of the things that they really think carefully about cutting and delaying anymore.
And I have to say, Scott, you know, you said I've got personal experience, Colleen has with her mum, and on behalf of us, you know, you and Barbara together have done so much for raising, excuse me, awareness, you know, when she was alive, and I know that you continue, so we applaud you for that as well, because, you know, talking about it isn't always easy.
It was important to me, Ruth, because what I used to think was when I was there looking after her, everyone has a different dementia journey, we know this, but in those moments when they go into this place where they don't know where they are, they don't know who you are, they look terrified, and all you can do is literally, I just used to hold her hand and talk very quietly to her until there was some recognition. And I used to say in my head to dementia, I can't fight you, you're bigger than me, and I can't stop you doing to this lady that I love what you're doing. But if there's any way I can help one day, just be a smidgen to help tackle this, then I will use Barbara's legacy and name to do it.
Well, she'll be very proud of you because you're doing exactly that. Just very quickly, I wish we had so much more time with you. And we were talking about treasured possessions.
Yes.
And do you have anything in particular?
I do. I kept a couple of items back. I did let all her clothes and shoes go and everything. But I kept back there's a picture of it in the book, actually. It's a pink coat when she was in the care home, and I took her in a badge of me when we first met. And what she used to do, apparently, when I wasn't there, she'd say to all the carers and everything, that's my husband. Oh. God bless her. So it was lovely.
Well, listen, the book is out now. By Your Side, My Life Loving Barbara Windsor, and we know she loved you back very much. Thank you very much, Scott Mitchell, everybody.
Thank you.
If you've been affected by anything that we discussed there, you'd like any more information or support, go to the website details there on your screen where you find lots of organisations who might be able to help. We're going to take a break. Still to come, we'll be talking about soothing sounds. If you relax by listening to a bit of rain, then you might enjoy the return of a certain fashion item too, because we may have the perfect solution that could see you ditching your umbrella for good. But would you actually wear this newly revived way to stay dry? We will be showing what it is right after this. Thank you very much. You're too kind. No more. Thank you. Now, still to come on Loose Women, we're going to be talking about the rain bonnet. It's making a return as a fashion statement, ladies. Yes, dig deep in the back of a drawer. You might still have one somewhere. Before we do that, though, viewers left baffled last night. Don't know if you saw this. On Channel 4, they showed the In-Betweeners film, but without any of the dialogue. So, bizarrely, the film had all the kind of soundtrack and sound effects and things, but you couldn't hear anything that any of the actors were saying. So, obviously, they just forgot that track. The whole film. and our esteemed deputy editor watched the whole thing. And we're like, what do you mean? Why didn't you switch off after a while? He said, I found it strangely mesmerising.
Yeah, he needs help, doesn't he?
We've got a clip. Listen, see if you find this strangely mesmerising. I suppose it's a guessing game, isn't it, what they're saying or doing? Yeah, but apparently lots of people... I mean, there are lots of comments online and people say, what's happening? But lots of people said they couldn't switch off, that they were kind of mesmerised by the whole thing.
It's the ambient noise, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they've obviously forgotten to put the vocal track out, but all the background noise is in. But I do think there's something in background noise. I mean, I have these earphones that I can play music into at night to drown out Gary's snoring. I started out with crackling fire, but that wasn't loud enough. I could still hear him. So now I'm on, like, full thunderstorm.
That's my...
Thunderstorm. Rain. Yeah, that's the crackling fire, which is lovely, but you've cut...
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, mine's a bit louder than that.
That would make me want to go to the toilet all night. I'm sorry, if I had that, I'd be up having a wee every 10 minutes.
Because it's got to be constant, otherwise it wakes me up.
Yeah.
So, Wayne Rooney likes to, apparently, go to sleep with the sound of a vacuum cleaner. He's got it on a recording.
A vacuum cleaner?
No, that would just make me think of...
Makes a change from Colleen, I suppose.
I suppose something
his wife.
continuous. I suppose something continuous, like you said, like the rain on the roof, you know, that continuous soothing sound.
Yeah, crackling fire. I love a crackling fire. I love the rain as well, but the fire, listening to the fire.
You know, my favourite soothing sound? You've eaten a very nice meal, you're sitting there, and somebody, the other person, on the other side of the table says, don't get up, I'll clear up and do the washing up.
How often does that happen?
There's words I never hear in my house, I have to say. That is good. That would be very soothing.
Yeah,
just doesn't happen.
soothing.
Let us know what your soothing sounds are, won't you? Now, in a moment, we're going to be discussing the latest fashion trend. Oh, yes, it's coming, ladies. First, it's competition time again. Here's Kate Lawler with all the details for you.
Halloween is creeping closer, so I've come to Tully's farm to pick myself a nice, plump pumpkin. A plumpkin, if you will. Look at the size of that bad boy. And you have another chance to win £75,000 in tax-free cash. Whoa, baby!
To hear the words that, you know, I'd won the prize, I was astounded. At first, I just thought it was a joke, and when it sunk in, it was the best feeling ever.
Absolutely enter it. It's £2. And people do win it.
Remember, lines are closing this Friday for you to win a whopping £75,000. So don't be a pumpkin. Get your entries in. To the pumpkin fields! Giddy up! For another chance to win £75,000, text cash to 86060. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and phone number to DY40 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday the 28th of October at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Thank you very much, Kate. So there's terrible storms up and down the country over the weekend. So we're looking for practical wardrobe to wear during the weather. So what do you think about these? These, apparently, yes, are back in fashion. I mean, it's practical. It's
yeah,
practical.
but it wouldn't actually protect the front of your hair at all.
Well, there's a little peak, Jane. Maybe I haven't put it on properly. How about that? What do you think? Apparently, they're all the rage. The young people, you'll be wearing one of these soon. The epitome of style, apparently. But I may have to eat my own rain hat. Fashionistas apparently ditching the umbrellas, and this granny style, as some people say, is coming back into fashion. So we have our very own fashionistas here to show off the trend. Starting with, she said she wouldn't do it, but I knew she would in the end. Come on, Colleen, let's have a look at you.
Sweating. Nice. Yes. Oh, it's nice.
Come and shuffle over here. Come on.
I bet you're sweating, aren't you?
And
I'm absolutely sweating.
Always. A woman always ahead of her time in the fashion stakes. Here is Janet Street Porter rocking the trend as well. See, we were given the little plastic fold-up ones. Janet, yours apparently is,
that's
the full-on
designer.
That's a designer one.
It rolls up.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of the back, a flap, but because my shoulder's a bit messed up, I couldn't...
Call me old-fashioned. Couldn't you just have a coat with a hood?
Oh, too sensible, Jane.
They are, Jane.
There you go.
Or an umbrella. No, Jane, don't ever wear that.
By the way, I brought my own rain hat.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Look, I've got this online. This is my rain hat, and it's got a midge net in it as well.
Yeah, but look at the midgie net. It's very practical. Pull your midgie net down.
Oh, yeah, my midge net. So it's winter and summer.
Where do you live? Africa? Where are you living? In the jungle?
Well, in North London, you never know what's flying around.
Well,
do you?
Janet's...
I can't see in there.
Hang on,
I'm
there's
putting
a lot
down
to
my
this
midge
hat.
net.
While she's doing that, I will say that tomorrow we're going to be joined by Hollyoaks star Geordie Porter and her fiancé Ollie to discuss their happy pregnancy. But I'll leave you with Miss Janet Street Porter. Do have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye from us.